Hey crafters! Yes, I am indeed, again, back at Costco. I needed groceries, and of course you know, every time I'm here I always do check out the clothing. You never know, you might find some basics, you might find something for a little upcycle project. You know, maybe a cute garment that just needs a little bit of love or a little bit of work to fit you and your lifestyle. I noticed there are quite a few fall things starting to come in, and then some of the summery things are definitely still there, although some things that have been there for a little while are now going on sale and are kind of being clearanced out and all those things. So I do love me a good sale, and I was eyeing some t-shirt dresses that I've seen there before and I've thought about getting. They're very cute, they're boxy, they're a little shorter than I love, and they're not quite the right color for me. But those are things we could theoretically fix, right? I did end up picking up a couple of dresses. So let me take you inside. We'll backtrack here through the art of film and show you what I found and what I was looking at in the store, and then I'll show you what I bought. Okay, so I ended up buying the kind of off-white and dark gray striped dress. I liked the pink a lot, but they didn't have a small enough size, or they only had really big sizes, and I was hoping to find one smaller size and one bigger size. So I ended up getting this guy. So yeah, cute, boxy, knee length dress, and it has little side pleats. We are 82% cotton, 18 polyester. Not bad, not bad. So I got this one in the medium, and then I did get one in 2XL. You guys know how we love taking stuff and turning it into other stuff, right? I'm thinking, what if we take the medium-sized dress, which kind of will probably fit me better like on the top of my body, and then add maybe some fabric or a ruffle or a new gathered skirt from the bigger dress. That's what I'm thinking. Let's get them home. Let's wash and dry them. Of course, I'll try them on first to make sure I'm on the right track, and then wash and dry them and take them to the old cutting board and see what we can come up with. See you then. Okay, we got the dresses washed and dried. Of course, tried them on beforehand, and I think we are definitely on the right track. And guys, I'm excited. I think this might actually be a kind of quick and kind of easy and fun project. Should I say that out loud? Ooh, I don't know. You guys know how I love to complicate stuff, and I love tweaking this, and oh, that doesn't fit right, I want to change this or that. I think today might actually be pretty straightforward. I think it's gonna work. What I want to do is cut off the bottom of the smaller dress, and then I want to cut off part of the skirt of the bigger dress, sew that part of the skirt to the bottom of the first dress, making a ruffle, kind of a drop waist, midi length dress is what I'm thinking. I am also going to dye this because these colors are not great for me, but I will drop this into a sink full of RIT dye once I've made the dress. But honestly, I think that's really it. Like, cut that off. Cut off a part of that. Gather the part of that. Pin it and sew it to this. Dump it in some RIT dye. And good to go. I don't know, guys. Fingers crossed. Say your prayers. You think we can do it? Let's dive in. Here we go. We're going to prep the smaller dress first. You can tell I got it folded in half, and I got some pins in here. Look what the side seam does. It comes forward a bit and then comes to that little slit. It does this on both sides of the dress, so that you've got these cute little side slits in the front. That made it a little tricky for making sure I had the dress folded in half evenly. So I have some pins in there, trying to make sure I was lining up those side seams before I cut it off. I think I'm going to be cutting it probably a little bit above the opening of that side slit. And I'm going to be cutting it off with my rotary cutter and ruler. That's just going to help me make sure I've got everything straight very nicely and just slice it off. You could do this with scissors, you know, mark it with your fabric pen, cut it off with scissors. It's a little heavy, a little bulky, but both are going to work. I'm going to be doing a really similar process with the bigger skirt, but instead of cutting off just the bottom, I'm going to cut off probably a little farther. I got to measure exactly how much ruffle do I want from the other dress. We're going to switch on over to time lapse and do a little chopping. I'll show you how that goes. Phew, that took a while. Gotta say, if you guys work with some dresses that have side seams that actually go straight down the side instead of curving forward, that will make this process a lot easier. Took me forever to line up the seams of the larger dress because I really wanted to make sure that that was straight and well aligned. And of course, while I was down there, I also marked the sides with my fabric pen, and I did that for the shirt as well so that I can actually match up the actual sides and not the side seams when I do our next step, which is run 2 lines of really big stitches around the top of what I'm going to call the skirt. That will allow us to gather in the fabric, scrunchy, 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 scrunchy. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And then we'll stitch it to the top part and make that drop waist. I'm glad I did buy a larger size for this part because I was hoping to do a little bit of gathering. Would even love to have a little bit more to make this a little more ruffly, but that is what we've got, and I think it will work great. I think I want to do some gathering. Oh, before I do that, I should probably mark not just the sides of the skirt and the sides of the shirt, I also should mark the middle parts as well. That will help me line up the skirt. So I'm going to mark those middle parts, and then I will run those gathering stitches so that we can then start talking about that skirt. Here we go. Let's take a look at those stitches. I started at one side and I did 2 lines of really big stitching all the way across the front. And I stopped right about here. Right about there. I didn't backstitch or tie down the ends, they're just loose. And then I did 2 rows of stitches on the back of the skirt as well. And I used the biggest stitch I've got. In a minute, we're going to pull on the lower one of those threads, and it'll help gather up the front. And then we'll pull on the one on the back, and it'll gather up the fabric on the back. Then we can get our gathered up skirt, hopefully about as big as the top. Now we can pin. Where's my center mark? Center marks. We can match up our center marks. Got those on the shirt too. We can match up our side marks. Pin that skirt to the shirt. Right sides together, of course. Then we stitch it, and we will have a skirt added to our dress top. Let's switch over to time lapse and take a look at that. Well, you guys, we have a dress. Woohoo! Well, you saw that I spent quite a while pulling on those gathering threads and gathering and ungathering and trying to make the skirt fit into the shirt part of the dress, pin that in place, stitched it down. I used a zigzag stitch because we're working with knit fabrics, and that's a good stitch to use when you're dealing with something stretchy. I also made sure to use ballpoint needles on my sewing machine, which also is good for the old knit fabric. I do have to say, the way I stitched the skirt to the top does not allow this part, you know, that seam we just made, it doesn't allow it to be really stretchy. If you need it to be stretchy, you gotta sew it on in a little different way. The top part of the dress, you know, our original smaller dress, already is a pullover style, like it fits over my head and my bust and my hips and my butt. So I didn't really worry about that part being stretchy. But just a note, it's not super stretchy. But I think we're ready to turn the dress inside out so we can see what it really looks like. Oh, and just a note, I can remove those peach gathering stitches now that I don't need them anymore. Let's flip that dress over. All right, you guys. Well, this is looking pretty cute. Definitely got like a retro vibe, which I am really loving. Should be pretty comfy to wear. I find that midi lengths, or more like maxi lengths, are the most easily worn t-shirt dresses in my wardrobe, just because they can be good for work wear or casual wear. So I'm hoping this guy's going to be pretty great. Let's see if I can tilt him just a little bit. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock here, and I think in total this process took me about an hour and a half. A little bit less. Granted, I was filming as well, so, you know, I had to stop and get out the camera and stuff like that. I feel like you could make this happen probably pretty efficiently. So, yeah, I highly recommend. You probably won't be able to find this exact dress by the time this video goes live, just because it was being clearanced out. But definitely check the after summer sales, folks, for some t-shirt dresses that may need a little love. Speaking of a little love, I gotta change the color on this guy, so let's talk dye. Well, I'm going through my dye stash, and I've got a little more of these guys, two of my favorite colors from this summer. And I'm thinking a combination of these two could be really cool. I got on the Rit Dye website, typed in the two colors that I had. Well, I first looked up color formulas, and then you can just click on different colors that you like, or you can select the colors that you have, and then they tell you what colors you can make with them, which is so cool. That is a total game changer for me. And it looked like I could use equal parts of both of these and make kind of a, almost like periwinkle meets denim blue meets sky blue color. I think it was called Blue Moon or Moon Blue. And I think that's what I want to do with this dress. Of course, as we always do, I'm going to be doing this in my kitchen sink. I'm going to be following the package directions. Fill up my sink, whole bunch of hot water, a little bit of salt, like the directions ask for, a little bit of dish soap. Add, well, let's see, I think the recipe online said about a 1/4 cup of each of these to about 3 gallons of water. I'll get the dress all wet so that it hopefully absorbs the dye. I really want the dye to be all over the dress. I'm not looking for like a tied pattern in any way. I just want it kind of all over one color. So I'll get the dress wet first and then get it into the sink with the dye. I'll stir that around quite a bit because I want to make sure the dye gets to be as even as it can be. I'll let it sit, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, maybe half hour. We'll have to see how dark we like it. And then I'll take the dress out, and before I rinse it out, I'm going to fill the sink up again with some hot water, add a little fixative. I don't have a whole lot of this left right now, but I'll get a little of this in there. That helps lock the colors in. And then I can wash and dry the garment, and hopefully we'll have a new dress that will be totally transformed. So let's head to the kitchen and get started. I like to cover up work surfaces as much as I can because I have light colored cabinets and counters. So I always like the paper towel handy and the towels handy. And hey, there we go. I've got some gloves and cleaning supplies. Always got my salt, a little dish soap, and my spoon for stirring. I like to have paper towel and cleaner around too, so I can try to clean up any drips or splatters right away so they don't have a chance to stain anything. I'm wearing really old clothes, and of course I may even wear an apron too. Good prep means less cleanup, right? That's what we like. I'll be filling up the sink with a whole bunch of hot water. Got to get the salt in there, dissolving. A little dish soap, and got to measure in the dye, and we'll get going. Wow, guys, look at this color. Oh my gosh, this is, wow, this is cool. Hey, I just wanted to show you that I've been stirring it around a bit, but I decided to pull it out of the dye to see how it was doing. I don't know if you can tell. It's really hard to see on camera, but there are some patchy bits, kind of like near my hand. Sorry, it's very hard to see on film, but I'm kind of just looking at it, and I realize there's some spots that are definitely a little lighter than others. So I definitely want to get it back in the dye and keep stirring it and try to get a little more even coverage. Okay, back to stirring. Well, guys, it's been about 20 minutes now, and I just pulled it out one more time to take a peek at it, and I gotta say, there is still a little bit of patchiness. So I'm gonna keep it in for probably about 5 or 6 more minutes. Keep stirring it. I've been trying to stir it basically constantly after I noticed that it was really patchy. So I'll do that. And it's turned out a little darker than I'd hoped, but oh well, it'll be fine. It's gonna be awesome. Once my timer goes off, I'll pull this out, drain the dye, fill up the sink with the hot water, and use about as much of this as I got. I don't think I only have a bottle left or so. And I think I need to let the dress sit for about 20 minutes. And then I can rinse it out and get it in the laundry and show you what it looks like. See you then. Ta-da! Wow, what a cool color this is. I'm really loving it. It's not purple and it's not blue, but it's somewhere in the middle. Actually, I really enjoy it with the stripes as well. So, I think we did a good dye choice on this one. I do have to show you, though. I don't know, can you see it? I have a dye goof. Somehow, I got kind of a bright bluish spot. Like when I'm wearing the dress, you can't see it that much with all the stripes, but that's kind of weird. I don't know exactly what I did. I think maybe I didn't mix the two colors thoroughly enough before I put the garment in. That's kind of frustrating. I could dye this darker to cover that up. I had also thought about taking some fabric paint and a stamp and like stamping like maybe like hearts all over like the top of the dress. I think that would be a little much for this one, especially with the stripes. So I'm going to try washing the dress again and just see if that kind of mellows out a little bit, or if it bugs me a lot when I'm wearing it, I'll just dye the dress a little darker. I hate it when that happens, but sometimes it happens. So there are things I can do about it, but I don't know. I'm going to try wearing it. See if it's really noticeable. See if it bugs me. And I can fix it if I need to. I do have an idea, though, for the dress. So let's check it out. So I was trying the dress on, and I was realizing that the cocoon dress shape of the original dress is a little bit much. Can you see how the dress is wider under the arms and then it gets narrower towards the bottom? It's a little hard to see. But when you put it on, it's definitely, you know, kind of a boxy, chunky fit, which, you know, I'm cool with. But it was just a little too saggy floppy under the arms. So I think what I want to do is use this side seam, even though it curves a little bit. And I think I want to take in the sides of the dress just a little bit. Like maybe I'd start under the arms and then stop like right about there or so where the dress is kind of narrow, and just kind of work it in a little bit. Like I might like kind of curve a little bit, or just, I don't know, just make it a little bit narrower. I'm going to have to be careful because those side seams curve and they're a little weird. But let me turn the dress inside out and show you what I'm thinking. Okay, so we're looking at the inside of the dress. And of course, those side seams kind of curve forward, as we've seen before. So I'm going to try to kind of maneuver the fabric so that I've got that side seam kind of flat instead of curvy. And then I think what I'm going to do is probably just like start under the arm. I'll use my ruler and just kind of figure out how far do I want to go in. And then I'll probably just sew in for a bit and then kind of work it back into the side seam, you know, before it reaches the skirt. Just kind of make a, kind of just a little slightly curvy, taking it in kind of line. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's get the pins out. Here we go. Alright, playing around with some ideas for how much I want to take in those side seams. I don't think I can take them in too much. If I really needed to take them in, I think I would probably need to take the dress in at the shoulders and take off the sleeves and all that stuff. And I am not doing that on this quote-unquote quick project. So I think I'm just going to take them in a little bit. I got my rulers helping me out. I got a little chalk. I got some pins. And all those tools are helping me make lines on both sides of the dress that hopefully match. Here's what I decided on. I am going to start right here at the base of our sleeve. That's where our seam is going to start. About 4 inches down from the base of the sleeve is where the hem is going to curve in the most. I measured in about 1.5 inches. I think that's about as much as we can take off of this dress without throwing things off. And then I'm going to try to work that seam into the existing seam and try to match with it about 4 inches above the skirt. And you can see I'm kind of just cutting off just a little bit of that extra width at the top of the dress. Not all of it, but just some of it. And thanks to all those measurements and rulers, we hopefully have a similar chalk mark. Messier over here, but got that marked and I've got it pinned, so that one's ready to sew. I'll pin this guy up as well and try sewing him, of course using a good old zigzag stitch and those knit needles. But once I've done that, I'll try it on, see if I like it. If not, maybe I'll take it in a little more, maybe I'll take it in a little less. We're just gonna have to try it. But once we got that done, you guys, we should have a wearable dress, which I'm so excited about. If you get behind upcycling and taking something that doesn't really work for you and turning it into something that does work, or even just experimenting and trying a new dye color, give this video a thumbs up, will ya? And consider subscribing for more wild and crazy stuff from Partners in Craft. You never know what we're going to be working on next around here. We have lots of fun plans coming for end of summer and early fall. So hope you stick around for the adventure. I'm going to do a little more pinning, do a little sewing, do a little trying on, and I'll show you eventually what she looks like when she's done.